Everyone should have the opportunity to wake up every day and do what they love. You already have your own unique perspective, your own unique voice. We're just here to help you on your journey of learning, discovery, and creation. My name is Aaron Nace. Welcome to PHLEARN. Your creativity should never be limited by a tool or a piece of software. That's why we've created hundreds of hours of in-depth tutorials that break down the nuts and bolts of Photoshop, Lightroom, photography, and more. Whether you're opening one of the programs for the first time or you're already a working professional looking to further master your craft, we got tutorials that are designed to challenge and inspire you. We cover everything from high-end retouching to the magic of photo compositing to the fundamentals of capturing that perfect image in camera. Everything you need to keep on creating. Join our growing community of millions around the world and transform your passions into a way of life. Subscribe today and unlock your creativity. Hey there, and welcome to PHLEARN Live. My name is Aaron Nace. I am the founder of PHLEARN, and joining me in the studio is our lovely
Cherie.
Cherie comes from us. Where are you coming from, Cherie?
Oh, I'm here from Niagara Falls, Canada.
Niagara Falls, Canada.
Yes.
Cherie and I met a couple of weeks ago. I actually spoke at a workshop, the Can-Am Expo
Exposition, yes.
in Niagara Falls. We got along so well. We were doing this live broadcast, and I called up Cherie and said, "Would you please be my co-host?"
And of course, you never say no to Aaron Nace, so here I am. Thank you so much for having me. It's been so much fun.
Absolute blast. I'm having such a good time. So here on PHLEARN Live, we are announcing this is our 1-year anniversary of PHLEARN Pro.
Yes, congratulations. A big milestone.
I'm so excited. So to celebrate, we're answering your questions live. So to start it off, if you have any questions for us, Photoshop related questions, go to PHLEARN.com/live, and there you can submit your questions as well as your images. So I can work on your images here live. This is your last chance as the general public to work with me in PHLEARN Live. Now, tomorrow and Friday is going to be exclusive for PHLEARN Pro subscribers. So if you're not a PHLEARN Pro subscriber, now is the perfect time to join. We actually have a sale going on right now.
That's right, 30% off subscriptions to PHLEARN Pro.
Pretty awesome
for
deal.
For the year or per tutorial.
Yeah, you can buy individual tutorials if you want to do that, or you can get the subscription, which means you get everything. And there's a link on the bottom of PHLEARN.com/live. So speaking of PHLEARN Pro,
yes,
we are
giving away 5 subscriptions this session.
5 annual subscriptions to PHLEARN Pro.
That's right. So you have an opportunity to get one for free.
Yeah, and we're going to do it right now.
That's right.
We're kicking off this broadcast with a giveaway for PHLEARN Pro. So if you are watching this on PHLEARN.com/live, just click on the link on the top of the page. It says join the conversation, click on the chat, or you can go to our YouTube page for this live stream. As long as you see the chat, you want to make sure you can see the chat where you can type and talk to us. Operators are standing by.
Yes.
So how do they enter into the giveaway?
So when you get to the chat, you need to type in "I love PHLEARN," one word, lowercase, and within 3 minutes, we will pick a winner.
Exactly. So now's your chance. So make sure
you also have 5 opportunities.
Yeah, we've got 5 opportunities throughout the next 2 hours to win a year of PHLEARN Pro subscription. So just get to that chat, no matter how you get there, we don't mind. Make sure you type in "I love PHLEARN," one word, all lowercase, and that's going to enter you in to possibly win a free year of PHLEARN Pro. We're going to announce it in 3
minutes.
In 2 minutes and 30 seconds now.
Yes.
I'm super excited. So I've got a little bit of background excitement going on right now. We're launching a new website.
Yes, and it's beautiful.
I am so excited. And by launching it, I literally mean right now.
Yes.
At this very moment, our developers are launching our website. It's so exciting. We've been working really hard for the last, we launched PHLEARN Pro a year ago.
Right.
We put everything we had into it, and we sent out surveys, and we're like, what do you guys like? What needs to change? Getting your feedback. And we got so much awesome feedback from you guys that we decided about 6 months ago to go in and completely make it totally custom for you. So I'm going to give you a little preview of the brand new website. Let's just jump over here. There we go. onto our new homepage, and I'm gonna pull this up full screen. So here's our brand new homepage on PHLEARN.com. So many aspects of the site are completely brand new, and we've done so much work to build in many features to make it personal for you. So whether you are a pro subscriber or you are just a member logged in for free, you have so many amazing features that are gonna make it personal. So right here on the homepage, you have your continue watching section. These are all the tutorials you started watching on PHLEARN, and this is all loaded in a carousel style. So you can go back throughout your history and see all of the videos that you've started watching. Next, loaded up, again, custom for you. These are your favorites. You can see it actually says favorites for Aaron. These are my favorites. So you can favorite any tutorial at any time just by clicking on the little heart icon here in the thumbnail, and it's gonna automatically load these up as your favorites. So your own personal view of PHLEARN right here on the homepage. Next, we move on to featured tutorials. We've got popular new tutorials, all kinds of things. And we completely rebuilt our magazine, which is absolutely incredible. We have a new magazine editor. We're just like over the moon about our new magazine. Also with these, you can favorite magazine articles, and everything is available in your own section. So if I scroll up here at the top, you have your own login information, and you can click on your favorites. That's this little heart icon here, and you can see here in my favorites, I have my favorite tutorials, and I just favorited these magazine articles. I've got my magazine articles here in my favorites. So you can keep track of everything, and as soon as you watch a tutorial, it's gonna automatically show up here on your homepage to continue watching. So that's just a small taste of the brand new PHLEARN Pro, which I'm super excited to announce.
Very good. We're seconds away from closing the first
Seconds
giveaway.
away.
So get in your I love PHLEARN.
Just type in I love PHLEARN. Oh, you know what? It looks like we just announced we just chose our winner. You want to do the announcement?
Sure. Congratulations to David Adada.
Congratulations, David. You won a year of PHLEARN Pro, and you're joining at a perfect time because we just launched our brand new website, which is way more personal. You've got so many personal features in there that are basically just going to make it like you log in and this PHLEARN is for you. So excited. Well, I think we're ready for our first Photoshop. Yeah, okay. I mean, that's why people are here, right?
Right. So our first question is from Angela in Houston, Texas. Can you talk more about creating Photoshop actions? Some of the old actions no longer work on Photoshop 2018.
Okay.
And she'd also like to make her own.
You'd like to make your own action. Very cool. So basically an action is just a recorded series of steps in Photoshop. So if there's something that you do frequently, you can make that into an action so you can basically get back to that same thing really easily. So like you said, sometimes if you use an action that was made for Photoshop CS6 and you're on a new version of Photoshop, sometimes those actions don't work anymore. Right. It has to do with the way they build the program. So let's go ahead and show you how to make your own action. And for this little example, let's show them how to do a sharpening action, because I think
it's pretty commonly used too.
Super commonly used. I make sharpening actions for myself, and they're really helpful.
Okay.
So to start off with here, let's jump over onto the computer. I'm gonna take a look at Unsplash, which is my current preferred, this is my current preferred free stock image website. And I wanna find an image that's going to benefit from a little bit of sharpening. Maybe just a portrait here. All right, there we go. See about this. We'll just do this image here, why not? So I'm gonna go ahead and download this image. There we go, super easy from Unsplash. All right. By the way, we are not sponsored by Unsplash. I just actually really like this. All right, looks like it's downloading a few different versions of this. All right. Let's hit cancel on these. Could be my internet connection that's just going a little bit slow right now. We are doing a live broadcast, so it makes sense. You know what, I'm just gonna go right into Photoshop here. We already have some images that we've worked on earlier. So let's just do this flower.
Okay.
There we go. So I'm gonna click and drag this flower directly into Photoshop here. Okay, and let's go ahead and show you how to build a sharpening action. So the first thing that I wanna do when I'm gonna build my action is go to Window and down to Actions. So this opens up our action window here, and you can see I've created a bunch of my own actions. So let's go ahead and create a new action, and again, this is going to be for sharpening. So to start off with, I'm going to create a group, and I'm going to call this Sharpen. There we go. And inside of this group, I'm going to create a new action. Just click on this little new icon, and we'll just call this Sharpen. There we go. Now, as soon as I hit record, how this works is everything that I do in Photoshop now is actually recorded in my actions dialog. So it's getting ready to say like, okay, whatever you do from here on out, I'm gonna record this. That way you can play it back at any point in time. Okay, so let's go ahead and make our sharpen action. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and create a new layer. There we go. You can see I just used my hand tool and it recorded that. Now, if you do some things in Photoshop that you don't want it to record, it's not a big deal. You can actually hit the stop icon, and then you can select the, you can actually select the steps that you didn't want to record, and just hit the delete button. Okay, you can delete that area, and when you're ready to go again, just hit the record button again, and you're good to go. So let's go ahead and create a new layer. Okay, so you can see I made a new layer, and here it says Make Layer. Now I'm going to get a snapshot of everything that I see on my new layer. So I'm going to go to Image and down to Apply Image. We're going to choose Layer Merged, and our blending is going to be normal, and we're going to hit OK. And you can see here it says Apply Image. So it's recording everything that I do. Next, I'm going to desaturate this. So I'm going to hit Shift-Command-U, which is going to desaturate this image. Now, I want to use a smart object here, and the reason is because I'm going to apply a high pass filter. And when I apply that high pass filter, I want to be able to change my radius at any time. So if I make a smart object first, that allows me to make the high pass filter as a smart filter. So anytime you're working with a smart object, the filters that you apply can be changed at any time. So that's why it's super beneficial to make smart objects if you're going to apply a filter. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna right click here. I'm gonna go to Convert to a Smart Object. There we go, and you can see it here in my list as well. So now that this is a smart object, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just change my blending mode. So we're gonna go from normal down to overlay. There we go. And now it's time to run our high pass filter. So let's go to Filter, down here to Other, and over to High Pass. There we go. And now you can choose your radius. So larger or smaller radius is going to do more or less sharpening. That looks good. Let's hit OK. So now I'm ready to hit stop on my action. So you can see every step that I just did is actually recorded here in this action. So let's just delete this layer. Okay, I'm going to delete that layer. And now let's click on our sharpen action and hit play. And you're going to see basically it just did everything, including created my my sharpen layer. So if I just zoom in, we can see turning this off or on did in fact change my sharpening, which is perfect. Now I'm gonna open this up. I want a little bit more options here. I want the option to, I want to be able to change my own radius while I'm in the action itself. So I'm gonna click on here with the high pass. This is the high pass filter that actually powered the sharpening. I'm gonna go ahead and click on this little box, which will open up my options when I click on this high pass. So let's go ahead and open up another image. Now, again, the great thing about there we go, about these actions is that once you make this once, you can use this on any image. So here we have another image that is not sharpened. Let's go ahead and go to our action, sharpen action. I'm gonna hit play. Okay, and now you're gonna see, remember I hit that little dialog box, that little square that said, give me the dialog box. Now I can choose my radius. So I can choose to be more or less sharpened here. There we go, because this is gonna change for every image. So that's why I like to have my option right here. I'll hit okay, and there we go. So let's just zoom in a little bit. I can turn this off or on, and you can see this is how we sharpen our image. Now again, this is a smart object, so if I want to change my radius at any time, just double click right here on high pass, and I can change this radius, and I can have more or less sharpening on my photo. In this case, we'll go right there about 5, which looks perfect. So there we have it, guys. We created our action and we created our group and our action inside of that. So now that we're done creating our action, if you want to save this action out, it's really easy to do. Just go here to your menu. I'm still within my actions dialog. I'm going to click on my menu. I'm going to go to save actions. There we go. And in this case, I'm just going to put it in our student images folder for now, and I'm going to call this sharpen. There we go. And it's going to save this out as a sharpen.atn. So if I wanted to load an action, we can just click here and go down to load actions. There we go. And I can just click on sharpen.atn, and there we go. We can actually load this sharpen action, which is super, super cool. So I hope that answered your question. That's how to create actions in Photoshop. And we actually have a ton of actions available on PHLEARN.com that are going to make your editing way, way easy. So you can create your own, or you can just download ours. Either one totally works.
It's a great tool, time-saving tool.
It's so nice. Yeah, especially like, you know, like doing this sharpen stuff like that. Create a new layer, apply image, desaturate, blah, blah, blah. You do that a million times and it's like, all right, this is getting pretty annoying, right?
Of course, yes.
So creating actions can help out save a ton of time.
Yeah, I agree. This is a good tool.
We also have a really cool action for frequency separation on PHLEARN, which is like, frequency separation is like the hot way to retouch. So basically the frequency separation action on PHLEARN takes all the hard work and does it already for you. Yes. So all you have to do is just a little bit of your own stuff, and it's a really great way to retouch photos.
So when you're a PHLEARN Pro user, you can have access to these
actions. When you're a PHLEARN Pro all PHLEARN Pro users can download all of our Photoshop actions.
That's excellent.
It's instant download. Just log in your PHLEARN Pro account. There's a download button right there. It goes right to your computer. Nothing to fuss with.
Oh, perfect. So our next question is also related to sharpening.
Oh, cool.
It's 34, image 34.
All right.
And it's a macro lens was used for this picture, but it's a focus stacked picture.
Okay.
And Jared from Arkansas is asking, what is your method for enhancing sharpness and colors in this particular picture? 34.
Okay. And I'm looking in my student images folder, and I unfortunately don't see a 34. So
it's a TIFF?
It's a TIFF. It's a TIFF. That's my Admiral Akbar impression. It's a TIFF.
A good impression.
Thank you.
Yes.
That's what I was looking for.
You could do voiceovers too.
I was looking for your validation here. I'm actually not seeing. I'm not seeing.
I'm just waiting
34.
for the control room to check
control
that
room.
first.
It's a TIFF.
34 TIFF.
Admiral Akbar. All right, I'm just waiting for it to pop up in there. In the meantime,
great. What do you want to talk about?
Well, I want to talk about something else that's a real hot topic. We're talking about mobile photography, and what I mean is using your cell phone, smartphone. And I want this to be a conversation between us, but also between you, our wonderful audience. Okay. So we all know we got smartphones with us now, and we can take pictures. Everyone in the world can take a picture really easily all the time.
Yes.
Does that make you a photographer? Does it make you a photographer just because you have a camera or an iPhone and you can take pictures? Does it make you a photographer? Now, Cherie, what's your opinion on the matter?
Well, I believe technology doesn't influence photography. It just makes it more available for people to take more pictures. On the other hand, we have people taking pictures all the time, selfies and family pictures and all of that. And I feel, without being rude, without having a knowledge base of how a picture should be taken, because there are a lot of technical details that go into a photograph, I feel that you cannot refer to yourself as a photographer because you took a photograph. I believe that you should have some basic knowledge base to make your pictures above mediocre standard.
So if let's say I didn't know anything about photography, I just got my camera, I got my phone, and I took a picture of my friend, and it was a good picture. It was a good picture, All my friends tell me they like it.
That's fine.
And then I say, I'm a photographer now. Does that bother you?
It bothers me so much. It bothers me so much I could scream. Look,
okay.
I'll tell you.
Okay.
I believe that photography is a profession.
Okay.
It's a job. It's an art form. And yes, even though you're taking pictures of your new baby and you're sharing it with your family, that's great, because the reason for taking pictures is to freeze that moment, to have that memory. But that doesn't give you the license to call yourself a photographer without the knowledge base to go with it, because remember, it is a profession. It needs to be respected that way. We spend years and years and years of our lives trying to improve our pictures, trying to educate ourselves all the time, because technology is changing, phones are evolving, there are more and more features coming out with the newer cameras, and you stay abreast. But we're all taking photographs, yes. But the term photographer should be left to someone that is trained in the art form.
So this is Cherie's opinion. I would love to know your opinion, and now I'm going to tell you my opinion.
Okay.
Okay. It doesn't bother me at all if anyone calls themselves photographers. I don't mind at all. Personally, I don't mind. You can call yourself a photographer. Even if you've never taken a photo in your life, I personally don't mind if you call yourself a photographer.
Okay, I'm going to stop you right there for a second.
I'm okay with it.
Because you said even if you take a picture.
Yes.
Now there's the difference. A photographer makes an image.
Well, sometimes.
A person takes a picture.
Sometimes.
And that's a big difference to me.
Okay, so would you call me a photographer?
I would indeed.
I've definitely just taken pictures in my life, though. I've gone out with a camera and there was something cool and I went poop in auto mode.
Look, that's how we all start before we get the
I've done that recently.
That's fine. But even with unconsciously, when you're taking that picture, you are following certain things you've learned, like rule of thirds, depth of field, lighting. You are looking for those things before you push that shutter, whether it's on your phone or on your DSLR or a simple print shoot. It's there in your head. It's automatic. When you're taking a picture, you're making sure everyone's in the frame. You're making sure that everyone's eyes are focused on that lens. You are following certain criteria. And you can only do that if you're trained to do that.
Okay, so let me ask you this. And I'm super eager to hear what you guys are saying. I know the chat is lighting up. Yeah, you're ready for the brawl. Yeah. So what's the criteria? In order for someone to call themselves a photographer, in your opinion, what's the minimum criteria they need to call themselves a photographer?
Okay, well, first of all, you don't have to be paid for it.
Right, I agree with that, yes.
But to be given that privilege of being called a photographer, I believe that study should go together with making that image. Because we all want to have the best picture on Facebook because we want to have the most likes. We all want to get that a following on Instagram. We all want our families to like the picture. When we have a new child, we really want good pictures because they're going to share it with their children and so forth. And so we all do strive for excellence. But that excellence only comes if you take a few minutes to actually read a little bit about photography, educate yourself about it, so that you have the skills to make great pictures, not just mediocre or bad pictures. Because then, if everyone calls themselves a photographer, where's the art form? There isn't one.
So,
really.
In my opinion,
yes.
In my opinion, I think anyone who takes a picture can be called a photographer. But that's not to say that they're. So I think the word photographer is open to many different levels.
It's a very loose term.
It's a loose term.
Which I'm trying to tighten up.
You want to tighten it up because you've spent a lot of time studying and you've put in the work.
Of course.
And maybe there should be another term for that. Maybe that term should be like studied photographer or.
No. Okay, give me a second. I looked it up last night because
you did look it up.
I had a feeling I would have to.
Okay, so let me share a story.
The definition.
Let me share a story, and then we're gonna reference some comments because I know you guys are lighting up the chat. So I have a good friend of mine is one of my favorite photographers. She is incredibly talented. She just from day one has taken beautiful images that inspire me. And we've spoken at length about the technical side of things, aperture, shutter speed, that sort of thing. And she is not in any way concerned about the technical side of things. In fact, I would ask her about aperture and she wouldn't even know what aperture she used. And yet she was creating these stunning images.
Yes.
And I'm a technical person. I'm like, okay, what's the aperture? What's the focal length? Whatever. And it bothered me for a long time that she didn't know what she was doing technically, but still she was producing images that I felt were way better than my own. Mm-hmm. So do we call her a photographer?
Well, no.
Oh, let's call her out. I'm not saying any names here, but she's a pretty well known.
Cheyenne's on the feed right now, and she agrees with you that you do not have to be trained to be a photographer.
All right, so Chili Cayenne says you do not have to be trained to be a photographer.
Yes. Well, that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion. That's okay. But I just feel, and I feel so strongly about this because I'm so passionate about photography, and I really want it to stay an art form that is disciplined and follows certain rules that the old timers from Renaissance have been following, and we still carry it through, whether it's photography or architecture. We follow certain things. And it doesn't mean if I go out to buy a stethoscope, I'm now a heart surgeon because I can hear the heartbeat. To me, that's how I interpret someone that knows what they're doing when they're taking a picture and giving themselves that title to someone just taking some great pictures to share with their family. And that's perfectly great because that's how I started too. But at that point, I wasn't calling myself a photographer. I would say, oh, I'll get the picture, everyone scooch together. But I never called myself a photographer.
So it's with calling, yeah.
It's about the title photographer. You have to work to get it. You just cannot call yourself a photographer because I got a phone and I can snap a picture. Oh, wow, it's so great. I'm going to get 50,000 likes on it. Okay, maybe you will, but it both goes together. I taught my daughter to read the alphabets, but I don't call myself a teacher because I didn't study for it.
You know, maybe you are a teacher. Maybe you're not a a college professor, on tenure. But
I may call myself that because I taught 2-3-year-olds to know the colors. So now I feel, oh wow, I'm not just a teacher. I'm a professor. I cannot. You got to earn the title, which is the same thing with photography. You really, and I think those photographers who've put the time in to learn the profession and know how hard it is, because there's a lot of technical details going behind that picture. So if I pick up a phone, take a picture, slap on an Instagram filter, post it, now I'm a photographer? No. But if I go to Photoshop and I create my layers and I make a filter and I make the image, I can then call myself a photographer because I've made the picture.
So we're dealing with opinions here, and this is Cherie's opinion. Again, I'm of the opinion where personally I don't mind what you call yourself. That's just if you have some paint on your finger and you smudge it across a piece of paper, you can call yourself a painter.
Picasso.
And that is okay with me. I am 100% okay. Now we've got an interesting comment from Christian that says photography lies in your eye. It's not about the technical side, it's about your eye and it's about your vision. So
we can agree to disagree.
I am 100% okay with that.
I like a good debate because it opens your mind to new, fresh thoughts.
I completely agree.
Thank you for
and
your comments.
I love my friends who that I love it when I can agree to disagree and still be friends with someone. That is the best thing ever.
Do you want a hug?
I would always love a hug. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining in that debate, and I really appreciated seeing all your comments as well. So let's jump back into Photoshop. I'm going to see.
Did you get the image?
I am not 100% sure. Oh, here we do have the image. Would you mind just paraphrasing the question again? It's been a minute.
Yes, let me pull that up quickly. Right, so it's from Jared in Arkansas.
Okay.
He has stacked some pictures here.
Okay.
And he would like to know how to enhance the sharpness and colors of them.
Okay.
He wants to know your method for doing that.
So this is a macro shot. Let's go ahead and open up 34.tiff. Thanks for sending a high quality photo. I really appreciate that. It makes my job easier and I can do a better job helping you out as well. What is this? Is it Jared? Is that who?
Yes.
Jared, what is this thing? It's really cool. I have absolutely no idea what it is. It has to be really small because look at this depth of field that just kind of like goes immediately out of focus. So I'm guessing you focus stacked here in your foreground, and then this just goes immediately out of focus, which is very, very cool. Let's zoom in here to see all of our detail here. Wow. I have no idea what this thing is, but
it's a vape coil.
It's a vape coil.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, oh, it's for that little pen, you know, for vaping.
No, I don't know. Sorry. Okay.
You can put all kinds of fun stuff in your little vape pen.
All right.
Whatever you're into, you can make it into a vape pen. Okay, it's a coil for a vape pen. So let's show you how to do a little bit of sharpening and a little bit of color work on your vape pen coil. So you know what? We just created that sharpen action. If you guys weren't around for it earlier, not a problem at all. I'd actually like to make it available for everyone to download because we created that sharpen action. They're really easy to share with your friends as well. So let's go to this. I'm gonna go to Window, down to Actions. There we go. And we created this sharpen action earlier in this broadcast. So I'm just gonna right click here. Okay, sorry, I'm gonna go here to my menu. Just make sure I go to Save Actions. There we go. And we're just gonna save this sharpen action. It's in my student images. So, hey Jack. Yes. Do you think you'd be able to link this up so people could download this on PHLEARN.com/live?
Download the image?
Download the sharpen action. Yeah, okay, cool. So it's in the student images on the Google Drive. Yeah, you can just zip that up and put it on PHLEARN.com/live. So you guys can download this.
That's great, that's generous, thank you.
Hey, we're all about generosity.
Fantastic.
So let's go ahead and hit play on our sharpen action. So this, it's in a folder right now, so open up your folder and hit play on the action. There we go. Now, you guys just saw, we built the action and it has within it this option for high pass. So this is where you choose your radius, and this is where you choose how much you'd actually like to sharpen your image. Now, because we built this in a non-destructive manner, you can change this radius, effectively changing the sharpening at any point in time. So let's hit OK there. I'm just gonna turn this off or on. There we go. Let's go ahead and close this actions dialog out so we can see the sharpening that takes place in this photo. Now, one thing that I like to do is I actually like to duplicate my sharpening layers, and you can just get even more sharpening. So I'm gonna hit Control or Command J to duplicate that. We're sharpened again. And you know what, this time I'm gonna say, you know what, I'd like to lower the radius of this one just a little bit. So let's give it a radius of 3. There we go. And then I'm gonna go ahead and duplicate that again. And then you know what, one more time, just because. There we go, one more time, and then I'll change this radius down a little bit lower too. All right, to a radius of 2. So we did a few different sharpening steps here. Basically, I ran that action a few different times. Okay, well, I ran it once and then just duplicated the layer. But again, because this is non-destructive, check this out. I'm just able to go and change the radius at any time. So basically, I have 5 different sets here. Let's close that out. I have 5 different sets of sharpening here. So here's our original image, and we can see each time I add one of these bits of sharpening, it just sharpens and sharpens our image up. So let's go ahead, I'm gonna group all those together. Okay, and turn this off and on, and we can see how much sharpening effect we have on this photo. It's pretty crazy, isn't it? To see that there's our before and our after. It really does just bring all that attention right into the photo. Now, of course, I did a lot of sharpening here. You don't have to do this as much if you don't want. That's totally okay. Now, my suggestion would be to put a layer mask right here on your layer. So I'm gonna hold Alt or Option and click on my layer mask, which is gonna make a black layer mask. And now I'm gonna paint white on my layer mask just over the areas that I wanna sharpen, because a layer mask will just hide or show certain parts of your image. Okay, So here in these little coils, there we go. Here in these coils, that's where I'm gonna have my sharpening be visible. So the nice thing about sharpening just part of your photo is that it draws your eye in right to that area. So I'm not gonna sharpen the rest of the photo. That's totally okay. I wanna draw my eye in right over here. Okay, now these already look really cool. What I'm gonna do is enhance our saturation just a bit. So let's go to our adjustment layer. We're gonna go to hue/saturation, okay? And here, I don't necessarily need to target any colors because I'm gonna use a layer mask to define the visibility just over here. So let's go ahead and bring up our saturation. There we go. This does look really cool.
It's beautiful, actually.
Yeah, makes me wanna use this vape pen. Let's invert that layer mask, okay? And then I'm gonna paint white on the layer mask just right over here. And what this does is it hides this saturation shift everywhere else and makes it only visible right here on these little coils as well. So basically, we're sharpening and enhancing the color right here. So here's the before and the after, enhancing the color here. And I think we can go up even a little bit farther. I don't want to, if you go too far with this, it tends to look pretty fake. So let's go ahead and bring it down to something that's just a little bit more reasonable. And I think that looks really, really cool. Let's go ahead and group both of these layers together and show you the before and the after. So here's our before, here we go. Here's our before and the after. It really does add a lot to the photo. It really goes from, I'm looking at the after and that's how you know. If you look at your before and after and you're like, wow, that's way cooler, that's how you know you did something cool in Photoshop. So here in the before, still really cool, but in the after, we're really seeing all that detail and we're seeing those vibrant colors. I think it really helped out, made this shot just pop a little bit more. And again, my suggestion would be to do this effect and focus on the interesting part of the image. Focus on where you want your viewer to look. Notice I didn't apply my sharpening and my color adjustments to the whole image because this part of the image is just not as interesting to me. This part up here, this is interesting, and that's why I wanted to kind of center my effects on that area as well. Okay.
Very good.
Are we almost ready for?
We are, but Jared, thank you so much for your patience while we bantered on before getting to your picture.
Are we gonna do a giveaway?
I think we should.
I think we should do a giveaway. You know what? I have to use the restroom so bad. It's interrupting my thought process.
Oh my.
I just drank like an entire Nalgene full of water. I have to go so bad.
Okay.
But I don't want to abandon you.
Well, I'm going to feel abandoned.
Are you going to feel abandoned?
No, we'll be fine.
Okay, so I'm going to be the fastest I've ever been going to the bathroom, and all you have to do is announce our giveaway.
Okay.
You got this?
I got this.
I know you got this. Let's give Cherie some support from our YouTube audience. She's doing incredible. I'm going to literally run because the bathroom's right here.
Okay, you have 30 seconds.
Okay, let's do this giveaway.
So everyone, I hope you're having as much fun as we are. And it's wonderful to hear your comments and your questions and see your wonderful pictures. So now we invite you to go to the YouTube channel, where you may type in the chat line, I love PHLEARN, to qualify for the 1-year subscription to PHLEARN Pro. There's a banner above us that will take you there if you're not there already. Type in I love PHLEARN, one word, lowercase, and in the next 3 minutes, we will find a winner. So while we're waiting for Aaron, I'll talk a little bit about myself so we can get to know each other. I am Cherie from Canada, if you didn't get that earlier, and you're just joining us now. I've taken photography seriously these last 5 years. I go as Photographer at Heart on Instagram, and I have a Facebook page as well. Also Photographer at Heart. I really believe to shoot from the heart and share that passion in your vision. And it's been a wonderful experience. I've learned so much, exchanging my pictures and learning from other photographers, and I hope you will do the same to improve your pitches. So you're back.
I'm back.
That's excellent. Good.
Good job, Cherie.
Keep those I love PHLEARN comments going in the chat right now. We have 2 minutes to go.
2 minutes left. Remember, it's all one word, all lowercase. I love PHLEARN.
Yes.
Right there. You're like, I already covered all this.
Oh, I did, but it's okay. It's all right.
Right there in the chat. So you guys can win a year of PHLEARN Pro subscription. That's access to every single tutorial we've ever made. We're talking about thousands of hours here. If you've ever wanted to learn anything about retouching, compositing, special effects, Lightroom, Photoshop, photography, everything is available on your PHLEARN Pro subscription. So you get that right now. And this is it's our second giveaway during this broadcast.
Yes.
We're going to be doing 5 giveaways.
3 more to go.
3 more to go after this one. So
after this winner. So good luck, everyone. 1 minute to go.
I'm super enjoying this broadcast.
Really?
I'm having an absolutely great time.
Good. Well, you get to do this so much. I'm so jealous of your job.
Sometimes I'm jealous of my own job too. I really have a lot of fun.
Good.
It's a good time. Yes. It's a good time. So guys, get those comments in there, and thank you everyone for submitting all of your interesting questions and comments and keeping that discussion going in the chat, because it's super fun. And although Cherie and I don't have the chat here in front of us, everyone else is responding to the chat. It was actually funny earlier, someone was like, your chat bot is like really fast typing. And we're like, he's not a bot, his name is Mike, and he's sitting right over there. So
hi, Mike.
Yeah, Mike's like, I'm a human. So if you guys see anyone chatting,
he has feelings.
Yeah, he has feelings. He's sitting right over there. Yeah. So if you guys are in the chat, you're interacting with Mike, who's right here in our studio. So we are so blessed to have such wonderful people in our studio. We get to hang out with these folks all day long and just have the best of times. And I think we're ready to announce our winner. Go ahead and announce.
All right, congratulations to Deshaun Suba.
Deshaun, you won a year of PHLEARN Pro subscription. That's access to every tutorial we've ever made, as well as Lightroom presets and Photoshop actions. Speaking of Photoshop,
yes.
What do you say we get back into teaching people more Photoshop?
Yes, let's. I'm just waiting on the next question.
Oh, I think that's one right there.
From Jean. Jean in Florida says, I have an old picture that has lots of textures on the paper, and she would like to remove those textures and enhance some of the original colors.
Okay, well, Jean, perfect. I love doing photo restoration. This is so much fun for me, and actually, recently I just did this for a friend of mine as well. I scanned in some photos, some old physical photographs using a scanner, and we did some retouching. So let's go ahead and show you guys how to do some retouching. And this is Jean. Do we know who's in this photograph? I'd love to be able to call these people by name. Maybe Jean, you can submit it in the chat and we can get this in here.
Okay.
So for now, I'm just gonna assume that this is Jean, but who knows? All right. So the first thing that I'm looking at this photograph, actually it's pretty good quality. We don't have a ton of discoloration as far as like spots or wrinkles or things like that. But the first thing that I am noticing is that we definitely have a bit of a yellow cast on the photograph. We definitely have a yellow cast. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna target that yellow color and see if I can kind of neutralize it. See if I can kind of like bring it back to a little bit more neutral tone. So let's go ahead and start off with a hue saturation adjustment layer. So hue saturation, now a hue saturation adjustment layer is so great because it allows you to target colors. So if there's too much or too little of a certain color, you can target that color and then make those adjustments. So let's go over here to where it says master, and I'm gonna choose yellows. Now, with my eyedropper tool, I'm gonna grab my eyedropper and then I'm gonna click on the area that I actually wanna change. So I'm basically saying, these are the yellows that I wanna work on. Okay, now, what I wanna do basically is take my saturation and just bring it down a little bit, okay? Because I'm saying, you know what? We don't need that many yellows on our image. So let's go ahead and take our saturation of that color down just a little bit. All right, so let's just make this before and after. I think we're looking good. Now we definitely took some color out of the skin. That's okay, we can work on bringing that back. Now we also have some nice reds here in the image, here in the floor, in the carpet area, and here in the dress. So let's see if we can target those colors. So let's go to our reds here. I'm gonna use my eyedropper to target the reds. Okay, and this time I'm gonna bring our saturation up just a little bit, bringing a little bit more color into those reds. Okay, now we do have some greens here as well. So let's see if we can pull these greens. Again, with my eyedropper tool, I'm gonna pop in and grab those greens there. And let's see if we can bring up our saturation in those greens as well. Now that's working pretty well, but it's starting to pull in some color from the rest of the photo also. So let's go ahead and take a look at our before and after up until now. Definitely looking better. We do want to do a few more things. So the next thing that I'm gonna do is grab an adjustment layer. I'm gonna go to a curves adjustment layer. And what I'm noticing is we don't really have a lot of contrast in this image. Our black levels are just a little bit too bright. Like this bow tie should probably be a little bit closer to black. So we have our curves adjustment layer. I'm actually gonna click on this auto button, which does a really great job, especially when you need to adjust your contrast in an image. So I'm gonna click on auto, and there we go. We can see it did a really nice job with the lights and darks of our photograph. So all of a sudden, we have a much more dynamic photo. So both of these layers combined, we're starting to look pretty good. Now, these are some general enhancements. I still have a little bit too much of a yellow color cast on this photo. So again, I wanna counteract this yellow color just a little bit. So what I'm gonna do is create a new layer. I'm actually gonna show a pretty cool technique here.
Okay.
I'm pretty excited about this. So on a new layer, basically what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a sample of this color, okay? A sample of this yellow color, and let's just go ahead and I'm gonna go to apply image. There we go. And that basically sticks a copy of everything we see on this layer. Okay, next I'm gonna go, and I'm a Photoshop nerd, so I'm doing this a little bit more advanced of a way, but there are simpler ways too. I just wanna show you guys some cool stuff. So basically I just filled that color. I'm gonna go to filter, blur, and then average. And what this does is it takes the average color of all that area. Okay, so now we have, basically it's just a little selection. Okay, it's the average color of that area. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is invert this. So I'm gonna hit Control or Command I to invert that area. And what this does, inverting will actually take the opposite. It'll make light areas dark and dark areas light, but it will also get the opposite color of wherever you select. So in this case, this is the exact opposite color of the average colors of that wall, which is pretty cool. So if I change this from normal down to hue, it's now gonna be this blue color. So we have the yellow color all the way on this side, the blue color all the way on this side, and they're the exact opposites, right? But now if I reduce the opacity of the blue to 50%, then it's gonna cancel out our color cast.
Right.
It should anyway. So let's try it. I'm gonna bring my opacity down to 50%, and there we go. We've basically reduced the color cast on our background by adding the complementary color. And this is the sort of thing that you can do with painting as well. So now let's go ahead and bring that up to 100%. Let's change this back to normal, bring my opacity to 100%, and I'm just gonna use my brush tool to sample this color. Okay, let's bring it back to hue. Let's bring our opacity back to 50%. And now I can actually just paint around anywhere I want to, and this will literally, it will reverse any color cast that you have on any photograph. How cool is that? Because I'm painting with the exact opposite color. Now, an opacity of 50% might be a little bit too strong here. You can always change that. Super, super easy to do.
Do you recommend actually using a color wheel to help you decide opposite colors, like tertiary colors, secondary colors?
That would be helpful, but in this case we didn't need it because I didn't, remember all I did was inverted the color.
Right.
So
it did it for you.
It did it for me. Yeah, I don't have to think about what's the exact color. I don't have to try to find it in a color wheel or anything like that. Literally, it just did it for me. Okay, so I'm just reducing the color cast that's there. Let me just paint with a large soft edge brush at a pretty low flow here. to just get a little bit more of this blue into my image. There we go. Now the effect is a little bit on the strong side. That's not a problem though, because all we have to do is reduce our opacity just a little bit. Okay, so let's go ahead and reduce the opacity just a little bit, and here we go. Right about 30%, we're looking pretty good. So there's the before, and there's the after, and literally all we did is introduced the opposite color into that image. Isn't that cool?
Beautiful.
I think it's such a fun technique. So it's really not that difficult to do. Basically, again, what I did is you can just select an area of your image. Okay, so in this case, let's start with all the way with our background. You can just select an area of your image and then duplicate that. So Control or Command J, okay? Go ahead and keep that selected and then go to Filter, Blur, and Average, which will just average all those colors. And then you hit Control or Command I to invert that, and then you have the opposite color of that area. And then I just use my color sample tool to sample that color and then, you know, just paint it around here. Change your layer blend mode to hue, so it's the opposite hue, and then lower your opacity till you cancel out your original color cast. Pretty cool, huh?
Very nice.
All right, so here's how we're looking now. And if you want to cancel out any more, like these, our gentleman's pants here still have a little bit of that color cast. So we just paint a little bit more with this complementary color here. Okay, and it's gonna just cancel it out again, wherever I paint. All right. So already we're looking quite good. Now I'm gonna take this a step further here. What I'd like to do is create a new layer. I'm gonna use my brush tool and I'm gonna paint here on this plant. So let's go ahead and grab a green color. There we go. Now it doesn't really matter what color green you decide to paint with because you can change it at any point in time. So I kind of purposely chose a green that doesn't exactly look real to show you guys that you can change your color at any time. So don't stress about choosing the right colors. That's what's, so wonderful about Photoshop is you can change these colors at any time. So basically I'm just painting on a new layer, painting some green over top of this foliage here. There we go. And now I can simply change the blending mode of this layer. So we're gonna try a couple blending modes. I'm gonna try soft light is my first blending mode we're gonna try. Pop some green on there, okay? You can also try hue, okay? And you can also try color. So all those things will work really well. Now I like soft light because it's a little bit more subtle. So let's go back to soft light. And obviously this is like not exactly the right color, okay? But we knew that, right? I already talked about that. So if you want to change a color at any time, super easy to do. Just hit Control or Command U, and that brings up the hue saturation. Now this is not an adjustment layer. This will actually change the hue or the saturation on that layer. So Control or Command U. So here I can work on changing my hue. So, we'll go a little bit more to the left, okay? Because it was looking kind of bluish, so go a little bit more to the left. It's way too saturated. It doesn't look real at all, so we'll just lower the saturation down. There we go. And somewhere right about there, we're starting to look pretty good. Okay, now I can increase my brightness or decrease my brightness. There we go. All right, that looks pretty nice. So you can see I started off, let me just click this preview. So this is what it started as. Right. So you don't worry, I could have painted pink on here. It doesn't matter. You can change these colors at any time. And here's where we end with. And I think that's a pretty, a pretty nice, reasonable green for that area. So already I think we're looking really, really nice. Let's go ahead and take a look at our before and after. We're gonna group these different images, different layers together. And here's our before and the after. I think we've really done a great job with this image. So there's obviously I could sit here for another hour and play around, but I think you guys get the idea. So let's go ahead, we'll summarize up. So we started off with a hue saturation adjustment layer. Okay, and we did this to kind of reduce the saturation of the yellows around our image. Next I use a curves adjustment layer, and we used auto in this curves adjustment layer, and that helped out with our contrast. Next, I painted with the opposite color of our color cast here, and this helped us get a little bit more natural color throughout our image. And then we just did a little bit of spot with the plant there. So if you wanted to take individual colors like the plants around our subject's wrist here and apply the same type of coloring, you could do that as well, including people's faces. But I think we're off to a really great start here, and I hope this helped out answer your question on restoring old photographs and removing color casts.
Very good, thank you, Aaron. We'd also like to invite the viewers now to download that Sharpen action.
Oh, it's available.
It's available on PHLEARN.com/live.
PHLEARN.com/live. You guys can download the Sharpen action that we made in this broadcast.
Yes.
How cool.
That's amazing. You get another treat today.
All full of treats.
So we have a question from Alexi in Moscow.
Okay.
She's asking about the Wacom tablet. What functions and buttons do you use, and are you able to edit using your laptop trackpad?
Okay, so a Wacom tablet. Let's go ahead and show you guys what Alexi is referring to. So this is a tablet. It's a pressure sensitive tablet, and this one is made by, the company's name is Wacom, and basically how these work is it's a replacement for your mouse or a trackpad when you're working in Photoshop. So this is basically the receiving end of your tablet, and your input is one of these little pens. Now you've probably seen me use one of these before. Basically, as I move my pen around my tablet, it moves the cursor on my screen. And if I press with my pen, it's basically the same thing as clicking on your cursor. So the reason that these allow you a bit more control over what you're doing is that they have pressure sensitivity built into them, meaning that the harder I press with this, like I can press and then press down, the harder that I press, the more effect that I can have in Photoshop. So they're incredibly useful. Basically, the way I think about it is like, if you're painting a painting and you put brush on, you put paint on your brush, you can press really lightly and make a thin line, or you can really press hard with your brush and make a thick line, right? Now, a mouse won't let you do that. A mouse is like either no paint or all the paint. So the pressure sensitive tablet is a lot more like using a regular brush where you have more control over what you're doing in Photoshop. Now, the question was about setting up the brush, and there are a couple of brush settings that I do prefer, or there are a couple settings that I do prefer to change when working with my tablet. So I'll go ahead and show you guys how I set up my tablet. Here we go. So I'm gonna go into my preferences. So if you do purchase one of these tablets, this is a Wacom Intuos Pro small tablet that I use. I actually do recommend the small size. I think it's the best size, and it's also the cheapest. So after you purchase one of these, you wanna make sure to download the drivers, and you'll get preferences here that allow you to adjust preferences for your pen as well as the tablet itself. Okay. So the first couple of things that I use to customize my experience, I actually will change the buttons here on my pen itself. So the forward button, I have this set to right click. So if I'm using the brush tool, for instance, I can right click with this and I can get my options. Now the back button, I actually have this set to undo. So as I'm working in Photoshop, if I do something I don't like, I just hit this back button and it will go to undo. So to set that up, you have your little options right here. You can see my forward button is set to right click, and my back button, I have it set to a keystroke. And then you could just type in the keyboard command for Photoshop as Shift Command Z, and that will just undo. So let's hit cancel there. And you can see here in Photoshop, if I create a new layer and paint over top of my subjects, you can see just paint over top of them. I just hit this back button, boop, and it undoes it. So any mistake I make, boom, hit undo, and I can keep working. So that's one thing that I use to go a little bit more quickly. Now, there are other buttons that come with the Wacom tablet. You have all of these buttons can be pre-programmed, and that's gonna depend on your workflow. I am a keyboard shortcut type of person. I love using keyboard shortcuts. So I'm so used to keyboard shortcuts and I can work very quickly with my keyboard that I actually don't use any of these buttons. I don't find them to be part of my workflow, but everyone has their own workflow, so I highly encourage you to play around. You could customize these. For instance, we actually loaded an action. We made that sharpen action earlier, so you could actually customize this button to run a sharpen action, which would be pretty cool. You have a little jog wheel here. You can make your brush size larger and smaller. You can zoom in and out of your photos. You can do many things. Now, another thing that I really like about these tablets is they're really great for both right-handed folks and left-handed folks. They come with angled USBs, and they all come with a right and a left. So that's really, really nice. And in the settings, it's really easy to reverse your handedness from right to left. So they're very, very user-friendly. They don't break. I've literally never had a single issue with one of these, and I've been using them for over 10 years. And you know, they do come out with new versions every couple years, and they try to sell you those. But honestly, I've been using the same one for a long, long time, and they're still totally fine.
So good.
Yeah. So
you have a detailed tutorial on this.
I do. Yeah, we have a detailed tutorial. We'll go back over here.
Up.
Yes, we have a tutorial on how to set up and use your Wacom tablet, and I think I'm going to make another one because a lot of people said, "Hey, let's make another one." So
it's very complicated to get into. You know, so the basics.
You have one.
I do, but you know, I'm not as efficient as you because I don't have the patience. So it takes so long to figure things out. You become frustrated, and then you just go to the usual old-fashioned way.
You just go to the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. If I find I'm in a rush or it's giving me some trouble or I'm not quite sure, and instead of wasting that time fixing it because it's delaying the edit,
yes,
I will then
go back to what you're
my
comfortable
mouse
with.
And then figure it out later.
For sure.
So yes, more tutorials on that sounds like a good idea.
All right. Yeah, well, if you do pick one of these up, I do want to say that, yeah, it can take a month or two to get used to using it because it's a whole new device.
It's a new coordination.
It's a new coordination. It's a new way of using your computer.
Yeah.
Now, I don't use this for browsing the internet. I don't use this for, you know,
anything else.
Anything other than Photoshop. I only use this in Photoshop. So, you know, I've got my little thing here, my mouse. They do come with a mouse too, but when I'm using Photoshop, I've got it set up right here. When I'm not using Photoshop, I just put it away and I just use my mouse.
And which tip do you use on the pen? There
I use
different sizes.
Yes, there are. So this is the pen, and if you open up the little pen holder, it comes with different tips that will actually give you different, like a different feel. So some of these tips feel like a felt tip marker. This one is supposed to feel like a ballpoint pen, and they have some standard ones, and there's one with a spring on it too. I use the standard one, just the standard black, regular old tip, and they do last a long time. I've heard people go through these, but honestly, I've been using the same tip on my pen for years, actually, and it's still totally fine. I'm not in any need of replacing it.
So the second part of Alexi's question was about, are you able to edit using your laptop trackpad?
Yeah, you can most definitely.
Pen.
Oh, with the pen? No. I'm like, yeah, no. Yeah, so the pen in itself is only half of the technology. The other half of the technology is here in this part of it. Yeah. So yeah, unfortunately, you can't just buy the pen and use that with your trackpad. But if you do have, dropping everything over here. If you do have a newer generation iPad, for instance, Apple now sells a pressure-sensitive pen, the Apple Pen, and that is basically the same idea that you can use to draw right on your iPad as well.
Yes.
So I know a lot of artists who've had a lot of good, good results with using the iPad Pro. So yeah, if you want to use an existing thing that you have, if you already have an iPad, you can most definitely buy the Apple Pen and use the iPad. Basically the same idea, has pressure sensitivity built in.
Okay, so we're moving on to image 22.
Image 22, all right.
It's Lane from Indiana. She says her daughter purchased the rights to a photograph taken of her grandson, and she finds it bland and boring looking. She would be honored if you would make any suggestions to make it more professional.
So this is the photo. Okay, cool. Well, first of all, let's go ahead and take a look at Oh, it's a PSD. Okay, so we have the background and the subject. Let's go ahead and see what the subject looked like on the original, just on a white background. And okay, cool. So the idea was to take this the photo, put it on a new background, and yeah, add some lights and things like that. I think this looks actually pretty cool. Now, my suggestion, I actually did like it on white. I think it does look really nice on white. I can see how maybe you were a little bit frustrated because you kind of like lose some of the detail here, you know, with the white background. So I can see why maybe you wanted to cut out and put this on a new background. Yeah, I actually do like it on white. Suggestions that I have for the photo in Photoshop. You know what? What I would probably do with this photograph personally is I would probably extend the white background to the right and the left, and then maybe either make a little like photo collage or something like that in this image, or do some words or some graphics, and then maybe turn it into like a card or something like that. I know that may not be what you were thinking of, but I can just work on it for just a second here if you'd like, and because I actually like the photograph, but again, of course, everyone has their own personal opinions. So probably, you know, something that I would envision would be super fun would be, you know, I'm just gonna make a new layer here. Let's move, okay, let's move this subject off to the left here. There we go. And on the new layer, I'm just gonna paint white here on the background and extend this white background. I personally haven't had much luck. If someone's photographed on a white background and I wanna put them on a dark background, I personally haven't had very good luck making that look realistic. Because the white colors tend to reflect lighter colors and dark colors tend to reflect dark colors. So if someone's photographed on a light color background, usually I'll just try to keep them on that background. But again, we're talking about personal preferences. So if you have your own, that's 100% cool. Yeah, so something like this, I think already, you know, looks pretty nice. What's the name of the person who sent this in?
This is Lane.
Lane. L-A-N-E?
Yes.
Oh, well, that's probably, this person's probably not called Lane, right?
No.
The person who sent this image.
The grandmother is Lane.
Oh, the grandmother's name is Lane.
Yes.
All right. Well.
That's Lane's grandson.
Yeah. Lane's grandson. All right. Well, this text is going to be really something just no one would ever do. So.
I like the play on the negative space there.
You like the
negative space on the right that you added in?
There we go.
It gives it interest.
Well, thank you, Cherie.
You're welcome, Aaron.
Yeah, maybe we'll go ahead and crop this a little bit again. I appreciate everyone sending us their images. I really, you know, I really can't thank you enough. I really hope that I'm able to work on everyone's images in a way that you like them too. I know we all have different tastes and styles, so maybe this is not what you were thinking, Lane. But this is kind of what I would see for the, you know, for the image or something like this. And then, you know, you could put like details. I don't know if this was like a party, you know, like how old does Lane's grandson look? 3 or 4?
3 or 4.
All right, 4th birthday party. I don't know, something like that. Basically, like using it. The nice thing about having an image on white is that you can really, it's very versatile, yes, and you can extend it in any direction, and it's going to look really good. So, you know, doing something like this, and then, you know, if you wanted to do any type of like little photo collage or something like that, you could do that as well. So let me just see. I'm gonna just go back to here. I hope this is helping out because I obviously am kind of taking this in a different direction than.
Do you think cropping it in a portrait style would be better than keeping it landscaped in this situation?
Yeah, I think either way would really work. The nice thing again about having it on a white background is that you can go portrait or landscape if you want to. All right, so I'm just gonna pull in another image here that might say like party or something like that. I know this is like, we're gonna say that that's chocolate milk in there. All right. So this turned into kind of designing a little birthday card for Lane or something like that, or Lane's grandson.
Lane's grandson.
I don't have their name, I apologize. Yeah, but something like that with a couple more images down there could be fun. So we could do something like that, or of course we could use our crop tool and crop this into a little bit more of a portrait style and extend the background up in this direction as well. There we go. And we could have something, you know, Lane's grandson up there. I mean, it looks pretty cheesy, I realize, but if you had some nice text or a little script or something like that, or something you wanted to do handwritten, I think that would actually look really, really nice.
Well, we just heard from Lane, and he's actually 2 years old.
Oh, he's 2 years old. Wow, man, he's advanced for his age. Yeah, all right. We'll say this is the third birthday. All right, third birthday. Cool, so something like that. I realize this text does look a little bit cheesy at this point, but with a little bit of work, I think we could make like a really nice image like that. And again, even without any type of graphic treatment on it, I actually do like the image on white, but again, that's a personal thing. So, you know, but this could be a cool opportunity as well. You know, if you wanted another portrait with your grandson, then this could be a cool opportunity to do a whole other photo shoot with new ideas involved as well.
That's right. Beautiful.
Cool. Thank you so much for submitting your image. This is so much fun. I'm having a great time. It's time for a giveaway. Again?
Yes.
Wow, this is just a lot of fun. Okay. If you would like to win a year of PHLEARN Pro, all you have to do is go to phlearn.com/live. On the very top of the screen, there's going to be a link to join us in the chat. So once they're in the chat, if you're watching this on YouTube, you already see the chat, so you're good. If you're on phlearn.com/live, then just click on the link so you can see the chat. As long as you can see the chat, you're good. And then what do you do to enter in the giveaway?
You're gonna type in "I love PHLEARN," one word, lowercase, and you're in. You're in the raffle.
That's about as easy as it gets.
Yes.
So I'm sure there's a flood of comments now, a ton of people saying "I love PHLEARN," and everyone who's typing in "I love PHLEARN," lowercase, one word, has the opportunity to win a year of PHLEARN Pro. And I'm so excited because we're actually launching a new website today, and the whole idea is a custom experience for logged in members. So if you're a pro subscriber or just a regular logged in member, you're gonna have a custom experience. Right there on your homepage, you're gonna have videos that you started watching so you can continue watching your videos, as well as you'll have all of your favorite videos right there on your homepage. You have a new portal called the My PHLEARN portal. This is gonna contain all your videos, all your personal information. You can connect social media accounts, all kinds of really incredible things. And not to mention, you're gonna learn some great Photoshop, photography, and Lightroom essentials. All right.
Good stuff.
It's really good stuff. I'm having it's getting hot in here.
I know.
I'm so hot right now, like for real. We've been blasting the air on all day, but the thing is our air conditioning is like really loud. So we can't have it going during the broadcast. So like,
yes, you wouldn't hear us.
We're just baking in here. It's probably like 79, 80 degrees in here. It's really hot in here.
It's okay.
Angela's like, no, is it? Well, maybe it's just under these lights because we're surrounded by lights. That's probably why it feels so hot.
Could be.
I'm gonna take my shoes off.
Or you're in good company.
Oh, I'm gonna take my shoes off. So.
Oh, Aaron, put them back.
Oh,
no, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking.
So one thing that
just kidding.
Sometimes during the summer it's really hot in here. I won't be wearing socks or shoes, and I'll just bring in like gym shorts, and I'll have like a nice shirt on and just like gym shorts on the bottom because I'm just like trying. And even sometimes I fill up a big bucket with ice and I put my feet in the ice.
Just get that hot in here.
It gets hot in here. Yeah, especially, so, you know, during the summer and we can't run the air conditioning because it's noisy. Yeah. And then I put all these lights on me, you know, it gets really hot. And then on top of all that, sometimes we record, you know, 5-6 hours in a day.
That's a long time.
You know?
You need some industrial fans in here.
That's a great idea. Have you ever seen those big ass fans? That's a company called Big Ass Fans.
No.
They're awesome. I'm like in love with these
intriguing.
fans. Yeah, if you guys want to like be wowed by fans, go to Big Ass Fan. Just type that in.
Okay, I love PHLEARN. Just a few seconds left.
Type that in. That's more important.
Yeah, stay with us. Don't go there.
Yeah, we got to get some big ass fans in here. Yeah, I've been figuring out a way to try to get more of those in my life. They're big. Some of those fans, they're like 30 feet in diameter.
Oh my gosh.
They're big ass fans.
How did you get them up here?
Well, they sell all sizes. You can get, they're used for like industrial spaces to like cool an entire warehouse.
We have a winner.
We have a winner.
That's an interesting name. And the team here says good luck with saying that.
Congratulations, we have a winner for our giveaway. And
do you want to try?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll just spell it. The winner is.
Pronounce it, they say.
Okay. Chalk tube. I'm gonna guess it's chalk tube.
I'm gonna say hugs and kisses to tube.
To tube.
Because it's XOCHTUBE.
XOCHTUBE. You won a year of PHLEARN Pro. Congratulations.
Yay.
I'm going with the, you know, in Mexico they have a lot of the indigenous languages have X's in them.
Yes, but they are pronounced like Z's, right?
I don't actually know. I'm guessing.
Maybe it's Xochitube.
Maybe it's Xochitube.
Xochitube.
Well, however we say your name, congratulations and thank you for joining the PHLEARN family. Let's get on to some more Photoshop tutorials.
So,
what do you say?
We have a question from Jim in Chicago.
Jim in Chicago, what's up?
What results in better quality when working with bracketed shots? Doing HDR or using luminosity masks?
Okay, great question. So, working with bracketed shots, basically a bracketed shot is taking multiple different photos at different exposures. So as we know, cameras tend to be a little bit on the limited side in terms of dynamic range. So oftentimes if you're photographing indoors, the outdoors is going to be way too bright or vice versa. It's hard to get details in your shadows as well as your highlights. So taking bracketed photos is a great way to overcome that. So you can take underexposed photos, properly exposed and overexposed photos, and then you can combine those together in post-processing software like Photoshop and Lightroom.
Stacking.
Stacking those images together to get your optimum image. Now the question is, what gives us better quality? Is the HDR or luminosity masking?
Yes.
Now, do you have any experience with luminosity masking?
I mainly use them for stacking in HDR.
Stacking in HDR.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Or if I'm trying to get something super sharp, like really, really tack sharp. Say it's a close-up of a flower or something like that.
Yes.
And it's not going to be in HDR. Then I will just keep stacking till I get that really great sharpness.
Okay.
So no, I would not use a luminosity mask.
Okay.
That's just me.
Okay, cool. So HDR is a really great way to combine those exposures. Now, what I do personally is a little bit of like a manual HDR. Now, we just released a tutorial. It's called How to Master Adobe Camera Raw in Photoshop. And in that tutorial, we have a section on creating manual HDR. So I find that a lot of the automated HDR tools in Photoshop and Lightroom, I just get so-so results from them. Either they don't do enough or they tend to look fake. And so I have actually found the most luck in creating my own manual versions of HDR, which I think is similar to a luminosity mask. Basically, I will choose the areas that I'd like to be visible based on their light levels and then use that to mix my exposures. And I use Apply Image basically to create those layer masks. So there's a tutorial about that on PHLEARN.com. It's called How to Master Adobe Camera Raw, where we explain the entire process. So I hope that helped out your question. I'm not an HDR expert. I am definitely not a luminosity mask expert as well. but I tend to use my manual process to combine exposures, and it's worked out really well for me. So I'd love to know what people are saying in the chat, because I hear, luminosity mask is another one of those kind of buzzy things that people throw around a lot. And I want to know what people are having luck with when combining their images. So please, let's send that over to the chat, because I just got to say, I'm not the expert in this field.
Okay,
I'm not the expert in this category. So hopefully someone in the chat is an expert, and they can help you along with your question. Thank you.
A question from Michael in China. Have you ever used a Capture One for raw editing or tethering?
Yes.
Tethering.
Okay, so the question is, have you used Capture One for raw editing or tethering? And the answer is yes, most definitely have used Capture One for both. So for those of you who don't know, Capture One is made by Phase One, and it's a similar program to Lightroom. Basically, it's raw processing software, and it will also help you with organization. Now, it's geared more towards the professional market, like working studio photographers, where I would say Lightroom is more geared towards the average individual. I have friends who work in Capture One pretty much exclusively, and they swear by it. The thing that I hear the most is that Capture One does a better job reading color than Lightroom when it comes to raw processing, and also handling noise. Now, I have done my own side-by-side comparisons using both Capture One and Lightroom, and I have not been able to create a better image using Capture One than I have in Lightroom. Now, maybe it's because I'm really familiar with Lightroom and not as familiar with Capture One, but personally, I have not been able to get better results from either one. I've been able to get about the same results from both programs. So I think it comes down to, basically your own workflow. Capture One is actually, it's a lot more customizable, and there are a lot of things you can do in Capture One that you can't do in Photoshop. But a lot of that, in Lightroom. But a lot of that has to do with workflow and exporting your images and things like that. And so, again, in my experience, as far as image editing goes, I've used both of them, and they're both about equal in my experience. But my good friend Ross, who's we're going to be making a tutorial with him soon, he uses just Capture One, and he swears by it. So there are most definitely people who are like Capture One, huge fans, and I've used them both. But again, I personally get pretty much the same results.
When you shoot, do you tether often?
Yes. If I am in the studio, basically whenever possible, yes, I tether. Lightroom's tethering is not that great. Okay, I will also say this, that Capture One has way better tethering than Lightroom. Okay. Lightroom, they need to step up their game, because their tethering is not very good. So Capture One has way better tethering if you're into tethered photography.
And how does that fall flat then?
So, all right, well, a couple things. My tethered capture in Lightroom, it crashes all the time, or my camera just gets disconnected for no reason, and I can't, I'll be in the middle of a photo shoot and I'm taking pictures, and they just won't go to my computer.
It's annoying. Huh?
It's so annoying. Capture One is just way more robust in that matter. Also, Capture One will allow you to see a live view preview through your camera on your computer in the program. And Lightroom doesn't let you do that. Capture One also allows you to change all of the settings, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed on your computer as well. And
that's useful. It's
super useful. Now, I think Lightroom does allow you to change some of those settings, but not as many of the settings you can do in Capture One. And Capture One also has what's known as an onion skin or an overlay. So if you're trying to do a composite photo, you can actually have your original image up and have your live view up and match things perfectly while you're actually shooting. So you can see, it's called onion skinning. Basically, you can see your composite photo or whatever you're trying to match there while you actually shoot. So it's like you're actually
really cool.
live
so
compositing.
You know how to place appropriately for lighting.
Yeah. For lighting, for composition. Yeah. So in terms of tethering, Capture One does most definitely win that battle for sure. Raw processing, People who use Capture One say it's better. I personally haven't been able to distinguish the two. They both do a great job.
For different reasons.
For different reasons, yes.
Okay,
great question.
Yeah.
And we are going to be making tutorials on Capture One, by the way, using...
I'm going to look out for that one.
Yes, using industry professionals who use Capture One every single day, single day. So
exciting, Aaron.
Yes.
Good. We're moving to image 24 now.
Okay.
It's a question from Henry in Austin, Texas. What are your keys to making a model stand out when shooting in busy environments?
Okay, great. So let's go ahead and take a look at our photo. The goal here is helping a model stand out when shooting in busy environments, and yeah, that's a really great question. So, you know, I would say off of the bat, just looking at this photo, and there are a lot of different things that you can do, by the way. And photography is it's a form of art. There's really no right or wrong. So any suggestion that I have, this is just personal opinion. You guys. Make sure to stick with your own personal opinions because that's what makes us individuals. Okay, so looking at this photograph, my initial impression is that our subject is just too small in the frame, and there's a lot of space that kind of doesn't even need to be there. It doesn't make the photo more interesting for me. It doesn't tell me more of a story, and it's just kind of, in my opinion, not really necessary. So whenever I try to draw more attention to my subject, basically I try to eliminate everything that I don't want my viewer to look at. You know, that's going to be through your composition, that can be through lighting, that can be through focus. You can use many different things. So in this case, my first inclination here, again, because I'm not there taking the picture, so I can't change the I can't, you know, I can't photograph from the other side if I wanted to. But my natural inclination says, you know, just crop in the photograph. You know, there is a lot in this photograph that is distracting from the subject, but I don't even think we need it. So just cropping in, you know, now we're looking way, you know, it's like now we're looking at the subject. So I would say that would be, you know, my first tip would be, for this photo especially, would just be get a little bit closer to the subject. Now that we're talking about post-production, there are just a couple of things that I would probably do for like cleanup. There's this white area right behind our subject here. I'm not sure what it is, so I'm going to grab my clone stamp tool and sample over here and just kind of get rid of that because, again, I don't know what it is and it's kind of drawing my eye over there, and I kind of think it would be better if it just wasn't in there. There we go. Now again, if you guys are like photojournalists, you can't go removing stuff from your photos, but if this is just for you know, for a friend, or you know, if you're not operating under strict restrictions, then you can most definitely just remove stuff like that if you want to. I would also kind of get rid of this like little hotspot area here, right near, there we go, right near there, because it just kind of got brighter, and not sure what's going on with her hand there. Oh, I think it just goes behind her head. Okay, cool. So kind of fix that a little bit, and then some of these hot spots that are right in here. See, these things are just little distractions that they're kind of like drawing my eye away from my subject, and that's the whole deal, right? Is like let's focus on our subject. Let's find all the little things that kind of pull your attention away from your subject, and work on reducing those objects. So just turning that off and on, you can see already, you know, we're just getting rid of a lot of kind of unnecessary little distractions that are around our subject. Now, another thing that I might look into, you've done a good job with your focus. You know, our subject's in focus, this foreground area is not in focus. So that looks great. Sometimes I like to add just a little bit of brightness around my subject, and that helps us look more at the subject. So I'm gonna just bring our curves adjustment layer up a little bit here. Okay, let's invert our layer mask, and then I'm just going to, let's go ahead here. I'm gonna use my marquee tool and make that light on my layer mask, and go ahead and feather that a good bit. Okay, and now I'm gonna double click here and I'm gonna use my blend diff to have this only be visible in the shadows. So let's hold Alt or Option and click and drag from the right to the left here. And this makes it only visible in the shadows. So basically that just brightens up the shadows just a little bit, and it'll help me kind of like look at this area a little bit. I still want it to look realistic and not really like photoshopped or whatever, but I do want a little bit more brightness in that area, and that's gonna help out. Okay, now you can also take the same idea and darken up your background just a little bit. So I'm gonna bring my curves down just a little bit. Just kind of darken up this background here a little bit around my subject. So this is basically kind of creating a vignette. So there's the before and there's the after with that. You can see it just changes your focal point a little bit. We're looking a little bit more towards the center of our photo. Okay, and then one more thing that I'm just seeing here is we have all this blue on the wall back there, and it's cool, but it's a little bit distracting from my subject. So maybe I'll just take this color that's on the wall back there. So again, with the brush tool, and I'm gonna change my layer blend mode from normal down to hue. Okay, so I'm just basically just changing the hue of all that blue color back there. All right, maybe I'll change it back down to color. We'll get even less, no, we'll stick with hue. Okay, so basically I'm just limiting the color palette of this stuff that's like around our subject in hopes that it'll have a little bit more. Maybe I'll make that half visible because I kind of liked it a little bit. Reducing the color palette of things that are around our subject, and that should help our subject stand out just a little bit more. So let's go ahead and group those together. Remember, I did crop this image. So here's our before and the after. Pretty simple things, but just a little bit of help to like focus in a little bit more on our subject. And then remember, to start this photo off, I cropped it in. Now again, that was just a personal preference. I cropped using a non-destructive method, so we could uncrop it if we wanted, and we can see our subject is there. So, you know, again, that's a personal preference. If you prefer the image cropped out, that's totally okay too. That's what makes us all individuals, and all of our opinions are valid.
Very good. Next question is from Joe in Indiana.
Okay.
She'd like to know what a fun lesson would be with middle school children using smartphones.
A fun lesson with middle school children using smartphones. I love that idea. I absolutely love that idea. So one of the things that I love to do is I love to create images. Of course, I love Photoshop, but I really like to create images where you use props and interesting materials in the composition in the photograph, and then you can take photos with any type of camera, whether it be a DSLR or a smartphone, and make those interesting. So my fun lesson would be maybe about color theory. That would be super cool because you could teach the kids about complementary colors, and then you could take photos using a smartphone and show how complementary colors can be interesting. So for instance, blue and orange are really great complementary colors. So you could photograph using some blue objects and some orange objects. Maybe you could get, you know, they have those ponchos, those rain ponchos. I've seen blue rain ponchos.
Yes.
So maybe you could have like a blue rain poncho and photograph someone on like a brick wall.
Beach balls.
Or with beach balls to get the color contrast there. Or you could use or maybe red and green. So you could use different complementary colors and use interesting objects in those photos to teach the children about complementary colors and how using complementary colors will actually enhance both of those colors. They will help both of those colors look a little bit more interesting. And that's a fun project because, well, it sounds like something I want to do for one. You know, that sounds like a great time. I love using props, and I love using colored props. And it sounds like the kids are going to have a lot of fun with something like that. And you don't need a fancy camera to get good photos with that. A smartphone is perfect. The kids can have a lot of fun with that. And I would say stick with the props. And if you wanted to throw in some complementary color lessons, it sounds like a really good time.
Great.
That was a fun question.
Yeah, I like
kind of
that.
want to make me be a school teacher a little bit.
Well, you are a teacher.
I guess I am a teacher,
Yes.
yeah.
Excellent. It's time for a giveaway.
Oh, it's time for a giveaway.
Let's do a giveaway.
Let's do it. I'm trying to think of what to say. If you'd like to win a year of PHLEARN Pro, all you have to do is get into our chat. So if you guys are on YouTube and you see the little chat box up there, you're in the right place. If you're watching on phlearn.com/live, just click on the link on the very top of the screen and you can go to our YouTube channel with the chat. So as long as you see the chat option open, all you have to do, what do they type in?
I love PHLEARN.
All you have to do is type in I love PHLEARN, lowercase, all one word, and you're going to be automatically entered to win a year of PHLEARN Pro subscription. And you've got 3 minutes to do so. So let's light up that chat.
Yeah.
Ding, 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 ding. I wish we had like a bell here that would like,
they could turn up the volume.
I'm like, actually, that would get pretty annoying if there was a bell ringing every time we had one of those. Yeah. So if you guys want to win a year of PHLEARN Pro, it's incredibly easy to do. Just go to the chat, type in I love PHLEARN, all lowercase, all one word. It's all automated. So the automated system will count your entry automatically and it will choose a winner at random. So we're not picking favorites here. It totally is a random drawing. And basically, that's your reward for just hanging out with us and learning some Photoshop.
And you got an action.
And you get a free action?
Yeah.
That's pretty
cool. Bonus reward.
We're all about the bonuses. We're
giving,
all about
and sharing.
It's giving.
And loving.
Oh.
And learning. And flirting.
That sounds really nice.
I like that.
Maybe that'll be our new tagline. Giving, loving, and sharing, and learning, and flirting.
2 minutes, guys. I love PHLEARN.
2 minutes for the giveaway. Is this our 4th giveaway?
It is.
My brain feels like it's turning into mush currently. I'm having trouble maintaining thoughts.
You know what? It is warm in here.
It's warm in here.
And maybe that's why.
It's warm in here. This is now, we've been broadcasting all week.
Yes.
And I think maybe I shouldn't have stayed up super late last night watching.
Did you watch it?
I watched Black Panther.
You chickened out.
What was I going to watch?
Suits.
I watched the first 20 minutes of Suits. And I couldn't get into it. So I switched to Black Panther.
I don't believe that. 1 minute, guys. I love PHLEARN.
I found it a little bit...
too serious for you?
No, not too serious. I found it a little bit offensive, actually.
What?
Just a tiny bit. It seemed just a little bit like...
Offensive how?
How can I put this? It seemed like...
Carefully?
It seemed like a little bit of a guys club movie. Like it was written by...
No, you have to wait for it.
Okay.
You have to wait for it.
Okay.
The director of the company is a woman.
Okay, well that's good. Okay, so
you're definitely way off there.
I'm way off. All right, well I need to give it another shot. Anyway, I did watch
3 more seconds, guys.
Black Panther, the Marvel movie Black Panther. I watched that last night for the first time. What are your guys' thoughts about Black Panther? I thought some of the parts I thought were really great, and then some of the parts I was like, you know what, should have done that a little bit better. So the spaceship design, I'm a total nerd, by the way, let me just say that, but I think the spaceship design, they could have done a little bit more with, they had 2 different types of spaceships, and the types of spaceships were both made by the same group of people, but the different types of spaceships didn't have anything to do with each other. They looked like they were made by completely different civilizations, and neither of them seemed to really serve the purpose in which they were designed to do.
You should have stayed with Suits. But
my super nerd self was bothered by that, and literally no one else, I'm sure, in the world cares.
Aaron.
Yes.
We have a winner.
Oh, we have a winner.
We have a winner. So.
Go ahead. Let's announce our winner.
Congratulations to Brad Nicole.
Brad, congratulations. You just won 1 year of a PHLEARN Pro subscription. That's access to every single tutorial we've ever made. Retouching, compositing, Photoshop, Lightroom, photography. Everything is at your fingertips. Congratulations.
We have a fun question from
We got
Canada.
a fun question.
Hey, Christopher. He'd like to know, it's very, very important, he says, do you like the Golden Girls still?
I do love the Golden Girls still.
Me too. I'm crazy about more.
It's so good. It's such a good show. All the humor is sharp, and it's quick, and it's an incredibly well-written show. I think it's absolutely fabulous. If you've never watched Golden Girls, I highly suggest checking it out.
It's good laugh.
I think modern day scriptwriters could learn a lot from Golden Girls.
Do you have a favorite Golden Girl?
I don't know that I have. Do you have a favorite Golden Girl?
Yeah, Sophia or Maude. Dorothy.
They're all good. They're all the Golden Girls.
They're the Golden Girls.
How can you not like that? And okay, one more thing about Black Panther, and then I'm back on Photoshop. I thought that in general the movie had like one tone, and I want more than one tone in the movies that I watch. I want jokes. I want it to be silly at times. I want it to be serious at times. I want it to be high action at times. I want it to be low action at times. I want a lot of variation
of emotion,
and I want that, and not just that, but the tone. I want it to be silly sometimes and serious sometimes. If a movie's just serious the whole time, I'm left.
You're not relaxed at the end.
I want
You're more
something
stressed
else.
out, right?
I want something else.
Yes.
And I wanted that from Black Panther, and I didn't get that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Eric.
That's what I love about Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one, anyway.
Yes.
It was really silly at times. Made a really big difference. Anyway.
Okay, maybe a rerun tonight.
Maybe I should just shut up and do some Photoshop questions.
All right, Ron from Brisbane, Australia asks, if you're shooting a brightly backlit subject, do you prefer to use spot metering or full flash to better light up your subject?
That is a great question. Okay, so a brightly backlit subject. Now, really here you have two options, okay? You can go for the silhouette. You can just say, I'm gonna properly expose my background. My subject is gonna be way too dark and they're gonna be in silhouette. Okay, so that's one option.
Which is beautiful too.
That's beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah, these are options. These are creative options. Your next option is, and we're talking about natural light. Your next option is to properly expose your subject and your background is going to be way too bright. So that's a choice that you have to make. Now, I find that when I'm photographing a subject that is very strongly backlit, I actually do not rely on any type of auto metering in my camera. That's a situation when I switch to manual mode, because I've never, even with spot metering, I've never found that to be reliable enough in the cameras that I've used. Now, of course, there are so many different cameras out there and a lot of different techniques, but when I'm dealing with difficult lighting situations like that, I prefer to shoot in manual mode, and then I can make the decision, do I put my subject in silhouette or do I properly expose my subject? That's a really, really great question.
Yeah, that's good to keep those options open when you post-production.
Exactly.
And you could perhaps do one of each and see which appeals to you better. Because you've captured all that information.
I like that. Yeah, do one of each. Now, the question also did ask, fill flash. Do you use fill flash? And okay, on camera fill flash, pretty much never. I find it flattens out my subject, and unless that's the look that I want to go for, I will pretty much never use an on-camera fill flash. If I am using flash to add to the light, oftentimes what I'll try to do is, instead of photographing directly into the light, I'll try to bring the natural light source off to the side a little bit. So, let's say I'm the subject, you're the photographer. Instead of the light being right behind our subject, I'd like to bring the natural light over to the side a little bit. And then I would use a large softbox also on the side, and that would make it look like the light is kind of naturally extending from that direction, and that softbox will help fill in those shadows.
Right.
So rather than doing it directly on camera, which I find looks a little bit unnatural, a little bit, it can look cool. I've seen it look really good in certain like fashion type photos, but you have to do it pretty intentionally. Most of the time I find better luck in bringing the natural light source off to the side, and if I do need any type of fill light source, I would want it to be on the same side and a large light source to make it look a little bit more natural.
Okay, good. We have a question from the moderator here.
A question from our moderator?
Yes, he says we have dozens of questions regarding printing, and all of them cover different problems people are running into. He's asking if you could give a brief, just talk briefly about why printing photographs with accurate color is so hard to do.
Okay, cool. So the questions coming in, basically we're saying we have tons of questions about printing, and folks are having some difficulty. And guys, you're not alone. I have almost every single time I print images, I also have difficulty with this. Okay, so here's why. there are a ton of different color profiles that you can use on your computer, okay? Your computer itself is a backlit screen, okay? The light is coming from behind, which is very, very different from a piece of paper that the light is shining onto, okay? So just the way that your images are being displayed is very different from the computer to a piece of paper. Now, also, every single printer has different technology that powers it. They use different inks, different amounts of inks, different types of inks, and individual paper types will also greatly change that. Some papers are a little bit more on the blue side, some papers are a little bit more on the yellow side, some papers will absorb ink more than other types of paper. So there are so many factors. There's really no just one good way to just say, okay, now my printing is going to be good. So here's my suggestion. This is the thing that I have found works for me. Whenever I'm going to print anything out, what I will do is I'll create an image in Photoshop, just a document. Let's say we're going to print an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, a standard piece of paper. What I'll do is I'll create a document in Photoshop, and then I will copy my photo onto that document and make at least 10 different, maybe 9 different copies of that photo. And with each of those different copies, I'm gonna adjust something different. Some of them I'll make a little bit lighter, some of them I'll make darker, some of them I'll have more saturation, less saturation. So I'm making subtle changes to every single one of those variations, and that way you can print all of those different versions of your photograph on one piece of paper, and then you can look at it and say, okay, this one looks the best. I'm gonna try that on a full-size piece of paper. So it's gonna save you some paper and allow you to print for some variation. Now, you may not be happy with all of them with that first sheet. Maybe you look at them all and you're like, they are all still too dark. Then do the same round again and make them all a little bit brighter and do some variation there. So I know it's a difficult battle. Printing really, really is tough. I've had printers in the studio. I've sent off prints, and I find very, very frequently the prints don't come out how I'd like. Mm-hmm. So again, my advice is to print out like a contact sheet of a bunch of different variations. Even if you're sending these off to a photo lab, I would still recommend doing that. I know it's annoying because it takes longer to do, and you got to wait back and forth for shipping and everything like that. But that is the thing that I've found that actually gets me the good print in the end. I wish I could give you a better answer than that, but I myself really do struggle when it comes to printing as well.
Okay, so this may be our last image for today.
Our last image?
Yes, before we do the final giveaway.
Oh boy.
And this is image 35. The question is, there's lots of ways to cut something out, but can you tell me the best method here for changing the background when the colors are nearly the same? As you can see, my black background is matching the neck of the guitar. So please tell me how to properly make a selection.
Okay, great question.
It's a good image too.
It's a cool image. I do like this photo. And this is coming from Serbia.
Yes, from Sasha in Serbia.
From Sasha in Serbia. And we have your husband's from Serbia.
Yes.
So this could be Sasha's neighbor.
His brother's name is Sasha too.
This is your husband?
But I don't think they're related because he doesn't do photography.
All right, well, cool image, and thanks Sasha for sending this over. So we want to make a selection of the guitar because, yeah, as we can see, the image, the black background is kind of bleeding into the guitar just a little bit. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to brighten my image up. The whole image, I'm going to make it brighter. And this is not permanent. This is just to help me see what's in this photo. So I'm going to grab an adjustment layer. We're going to go to exposure, and I'm going to take my exposure slider and drag it all the way to the right here. And this is just going to help me to see what's in my photo. You might see some things that you didn't even know were in there. Okay, let's go ahead and close that out. So here you can see, we can actually see the line for the guitar, and looks like maybe we have an amp or something here. And then here I can pretty clearly see the bottom of the neck of the guitar. So turning this off or on, I'm not going to leave this layer on. Obviously it looks horrible, but it does give me an idea at least of where the bottom of the guitar is. So from here I should be able to make a selection. So I'm going to leave this layer on, and I'm gonna go ahead and grab my polygonal lasso tool because this is pretty much a straight line here. So I should be able to make it a selection by using one of these tools that creates a straight line. So in this case, we'll use a polygonal lasso tool. So I'm gonna click here outside of my document and go right over here to the inside of our document. There we go. And I'm gonna just basically make a selection right here around the neck of the guitar, all the way to the top and down to the side, and we're gonna hit enter. So here you can see we have a selection around that area. Perfect. So now that that selection is active, I can make this layer invisible, and I can grab a adjustment layer. Let's use a curves adjustment layer. And because I made that selection first, it automatically loads the selection into my layer mask, which is perfect. So now I can work on brightening up, there we go, that area of the photo to help it stand out of the background just a little bit better. Now, this doesn't have to be something that's visible everywhere, okay? So what I'm gonna do is just make it visible here on the bottom of the neck of the guitar to help it get that separation. So I'm gonna go ahead and group this layer with itself. I'm gonna put a black layer mask on it by holding Alt or Option and clicking on the layer mask. And then I'm just gonna paint white on the layer mask. So the idea is I only need this to be visible right here on the bottom of the guitar. There we go, and wherever I decide to paint it visible. So I'm not saying this should be visible everywhere. I made a clear line with my polygonal lasso tool on the bottom, and that helped me define the bottom of the guitar. So that is one good way that you can use to make selections if you're working with a dark image. So let's go, maybe we can bring our curves adjustment layer just a little brighter, getting a little bit more information in there. There we go. Let's go ahead and close that out again. And let's go ahead and take a look at our before and after. So here's our before. You can see the guitar end just kind of ends into the black. And here's our after. You can see we have a little bit more information. It looks a little bit degraded image quality wise, so I'm just gonna lower the opacity just a little bit. I think that looks just a little bit better. And we do see the difference between light and dark. Cool image, and thank you for your question.
Very good. So we have 10 minutes.
We've got 10 minutes.
Yes. Shall we recap for tomorrow?
For tomorrow, let's do it. And then we have one more giveaway, right?
One more giveaway.
All right. Well, everyone, thank you so much for joining us for these live broadcasts all week long. Now, if you want to continue the fun, be sure to join PHLEARN Pro. Now, you can do this on phlearn.com/live. There's a banner right there. We're running a 30% off sale. So now is the perfect time to join. For those of you guys who are Pro subscribers, thank you very much for subscribing, and we will see you tomorrow as well as Friday. So Thursday and Friday is going to be exclusive for PHLEARN Pro subscribers.
Yes.
We're gonna get a little bit more advanced. You guys will be able to send in your images as well as questions, and I'll be answering questions specific about PHLEARN Pro tutorials as well. So this is our chance for our Pro community to collaborate and learn together. So again, if you haven't joined, be sure to do so because you can join. You'll get instant access to our live broadcasts both Thursday and Friday. All right.
So please get to the chat and type in "I love PHLEARN."
Get to that chat.
Yeah, so that you have a chance of winning the last subscription.
We're doing a giveaway.
Yes.
If you guys are just joining us, we are giving away a year of PHLEARN Pro. So how do we get to it?
Follow the banner.
Just follow the banner. If you're on phlearn.com/live, just click on the top of the screen. It says join the conversation. Go ahead and click that link. That'll send you to our YouTube where you can join in with the chat. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, perfect. You can just leave a comment right there in the chat. All you have to do is write "I love PHLEARN." All one word, all lowercase. It's gonna automatically submit you into the chat.
Yes.
You're gonna submit into the giveaway and you could win a year of PHLEARN Pro.
That's right. And if you didn't win anything today,
you
have an opportunity to have 30% off your subscription to PHLEARN Pro.
That's right.
Either the annual subscription or per tutorial.
Yep.
So please take advantage of that so you can join us tomorrow and Friday.
We're hanging out all week.
Yes, and enjoy these tutorials. Aaron's promised to post lots and lots of new videos.
That's pretty much all I think about.
Yeah. We're so grateful
it's 100% of what goes on in here. make sure how to keep my team and my family happy, and make a bunch of tutorials.
Excellent. Well, 2 minutes to go, guys. I love PHLEARN. One word, lowercase.
All right. I've had an absolute blast hanging out. This has been so much fun.
Yes, yes.
For those of you guys who have been to Chicago or have ever wanted to visit Chicago, we had deep dish pizza today for lunch.
Oh my gosh.
Maybe that's why I can't think right.
Could be.
We had deep dish
really,
pizza.
one slice is all that you need.
Yeah. We had Luminosities, for those of you guys who have been to Chicago before. And Luminosities is my personal favorite deep dish pizza in Chicago.
And what makes them so special for you?
The crust is just so, it's like a cornbread type crust. It's a little bit crispy. We reheated some pizza, so it wasn't like, we didn't have it fresh out of the oven, but oh my gosh, their crust is to die for. And if you've never had deep dish pizza, it's like, it's
filling.
It's a filling thing. Basically, it's just like that thick of cheese
I
and
think
sauce.
it's a little higher.
So we're all filled up on deep dish pizza. Yeah, if you were to do an X-ray, there would just be a big pizza slice right here in my belly right now.
1 minute to go before we have our winner.
Man, I've been so excited to do this live broadcast. It's been an absolute blast. So much fun, too.
Thank you for having me, Aaron.
You're very welcome.
I really like your city. It's so beautiful.
It's, you know...
Except for the weather, everything's great here.
But you actually came at a pretty good time.
Oh my gosh, yesterday it rained.
Well, it has been raining.
There was thunder, there was
Today
lightning.
is nice. We should go outside today.
Yes.
We'll go out to dinner. We'll have a good time. We'll get out in the sun while it's out there and enjoy the city. Yeah, that's the other nice thing about Chicago is everyone is indoors for the winter, but as soon as the sun comes out, the whole city becomes alive.
Oh, that's great.
So much fun.
Good.
Don't move here during the winter, by the way, because it's going to be hard to make friends because everyone's inside the whole time.
Inside.
So if you want to move here...
That's when you learn your Photoshop skills.
Yeah, that's when you learn Photoshop. That's when you put on an extra few pounds. That's when you catch up to Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And then in the summertime, you get outside, get some fried chicken, and make some friends. That's
good.
Chicago in a nutshell.
All right.
Go to some street festivals, drink some Midwest beer, make some friends. That's what our city's all about. We have a winner. Good.
Yes. So congratulations to Mark Major.
Mark, congratulations. You just won a year of PHLEARN Pro. Thank you so much to Mark, and thank you so much to everyone else who joined our stream today. I've had an absolute blast this week. Cherie, thank you so much, for joining me. Yes. This has been so much fun. Again, tomorrow and Friday are exclusive to PHLEARN Pro subscribers. So if you haven't done so yet, be sure to sign up for PHLEARN Pro, and we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's do a little group wave. Hey, get in here. Come on. Come on in here. Come on, team. Come on. All the people who make this happen. Everyone's like incredibly reluctant about getting on camera. There are actually more people than are here. Everyone just does not want to come to camera.
Ciao.
Okay.
Come on, Mike. Okay, fade to black.
Wow, that was incredible. Wow.
Fade to black.
Very impressive. Yes. Thank you so much. I'll PHLEARN you later. Bye, everyone.
Ciao.
They think both of our heads are going off.